Scored home. He just said, my criticism was to everyone. One more time. Let's play it.
The president bears responsibility for Wednesday's attack on Congress by mob rioters. He should have immediately denounced the mob when he saw what was unfolding.
Yeah, it's obvious. Again, Kevin, not the sharpest tool in the shed.
Or a liar.
Well, yeah.
Or an amnesiac.
Or an amnesiac, whatever it is. I mean, but we've seen this time and again. Yeah. We've seen this from Trump apologists on TV who are begging him to stop the riots. We saw this, of course, from his own family members begging him to stop the riots. Kevin McCarthy picks up the phone, yells at Donald Trump, swears at Donald Trump, trying to get him to stop the riots, bragged about it to other members of Congress after he had done it. Recounted what Donald Trump said to other members of Congress after he did it. And here you have poor Kev yesterday saying, oh, I was talking about everybody. No, he blamed Donald Trump for mob rule taking over constitutional rule.
Absolutely. And this goes to the question, back to the criminal law aspect of it, it goes to the question of Trump's intent. He sat there in his private dining room or whatever it is by the Oval Office, watching television, watching this for hours while people were pleading with him, including his daughter, including his chief of staff, and probably people calling him on the phone to say something, do something, stop it. And we hear that he was watching this with glee. He wanted this to happen. He wanted anything to happen that would stop, delay, hinder, use the words of the statute, the execution of the laws of the United States that would transfer power from him to Joe Biden. And that's one of the most telling pieces of evidence that we have.
And, George, you can almost hear it in closing argument against the president. Not that there ever will be a closing argument against the president, because he seems to get away with everything. But you can almost hear it in a closing argument about the president being part of this sedition and sitting there watching it gleefully, wanting these riots to go on. And then they tell the jury, the prosecution tells the jury, and then they finally dragged him out hours later to give a recorded message to stop the rioters, to stop the seditionists. Yeah. And the first take, he wouldn't say it.
Right.
They made him do it again.
Right.
He makes the second take to the rioters. Still won't tell them to stop. It takes them 3 times after an afternoon of bloodshed, after an afternoon of police being savaged by rioters, by seditionists trying to actually commit insurrection against the United States, for the president of the United States to finally compliment them, but then say, go home.
Right. And 3 takes. But not only that, they didn't trust him to do it live. So they didn't trust him to do it live because they were afraid of what he would say. Then they threw out 2 takes before he got it semi-right on the 3rd take. I mean, that just tells you a lot. Yeah. And wait till we actually see those first 2 takes, because no doubt those were preserved. Those are preserved documents, and they're probably produced to the committee by the National Archives. Yeah. You know, it's going to be something when those videos come out. I'll bet you they're going to be something.
And a lot of Trump people are talking, aren't they? I mean, a lot of people, especially from the vice president's office, but we're hearing that a lot of people around Trump, a lot of White House, instead of Trump people, I should say, a lot of White House officials are talking to this committee.
People who have things to say about what happened that day, and that's the reason why we're not hearing. That's why only a limited number of people have been subjected to potential contempt proceedings. So there's a lot going on behind the scenes.
And what is